friends, welcome to my channel for the editorial analysis of August 31st. If you like my video, do hit the like button, subscribe my channel and also give your opinion about the video. And guys, I'm really sorry for the delay because as a student, even I know that how important it is to read the newspaper in the morning. Even I know the feel of completing the newspaper in the morning, but I'm sorry guys, I'm sorry for the delay. And I'd also like to say that for few days, that is for 4 to 5 days, I will be uploading this editorial analysis by night because even I have some personal commitments, so I'm sorry for that, but I will bring you the editorial analysis, that is for sure. And I also assure you that I will cover each and every editorial in detail, which will help you to write efficient answers. And for those Tamil viewers, guys, na nethu இன்னைக்கு editorial ரெண்டுமே இன்னைக்கு நைட் குள்ள அப்டேட் பண்ண பாத்துறேன். So I will try to upload it by today night itself. So thank you for the support guys and thank you for having patience. So let's move ahead. So friends, the important article for today is this article, that is Aspirational India. See guys, this is a French word which means after me the flood in English, and I think Hindu is turning into a French paper right now. So this article is related to Mumbai flood, and the other important article for today is Brics of the wall. It's an excellent article which talks about the Brics challenges and the future prospects of the Brics. So we will look this article in detail. Plus there are few important points in powering Aspirational India. So even this article is some sort of important for us, but this article has many factual details which is not important for us. So we'll just have a glimpse of this. Plus the other article, that is Pragmatic in London. So this article is all about Britain exit from the European Union. See guys, personally telling, UPSC will not ask why Britain have to exit from the European Union. So you just need to know this, that is until 2019 the Britain is not going to leave this European Union. Fine. So this article is not important. And the other article is Rainbow of Possibilities. Even this article is all about section 377 and right to privacy. See guys, I have taken enough details with respect to right to privacy, and I hope I have covered each and every article with respect to right to privacy, which is more than enough according to me. So if you want to go through this article, you can have a go through, but I am not going to discuss this article because the same points are given in this article. Plus the another important article for today is managing embankments. So even we will have a look at this article. Fine. So coming to the first article, which is related to Mumbai floods. So the article mentions the return of the floods to Mumbai and the paralysis which the Mumbai suffered, that is the impact of the floods in Mumbai, brings up a question: why Indian cities are unable to improve their resilience to extreme weather events. See guys, it is not only with respect to Mumbai. Even before 2 years, Chennai saw the similar scenario. So this article tries to put in a question why there is a lack of management to this weather events. So it tries to say, as a nucleus of financial activity, such sort of weather events or such sort of natural calamities have national implications. Plus this article also tries to bring in the impacts. It's saying that the trade volumes has reduced, even the stock market has decreased, and many had to stay in their offices after the workday. So this is not the first scenario. Even in 2005, a disaster was caused in Mumbai where several people died. So from this scenario, beyond the political argument on bad management, we need a valuable research and analysis for developing a better prediction of climate. Plus we need to have an efficient management system. So this article mentions researchers at IIT Bombay have provided pathways for 450 square kilometers of the city to prepare for the monsoonal floods. So they have provided the way for the management during this monsoonal floods by taking the worst case scenario. So one should look whether these proposals are implemented. So there is a need for us to clear the drainage channels. We have to remove the encroachments, plus creation of pond to store the large volumes of water, and mangrove wetlands on the eastern fringes must be revived in order to lessen the impacts of this flood. As the article mentions, it is because of these the northwest part of the city, that is the northwest part of the Mumbai, has lost many of its capacity because of the unplanned development. So from these losses, one could analyze the impacts of the rainfall, plus why urban wetlands are so important to manage floods. So if at all a question comes with respect to floods, you can write that mangroves are important, plus encroachment should be avoided, then the drainage path should be clear in order to avoid floods in the cities. Fine. So this is one way. See guys, I would also like to make one more point why floods are common in Mumbai. Because Mumbai happens to be on the windward side of the Western Ghats. So you know that this is the monsoonal season, and the monsoon season brings in an heavy amount of rainfall in India. That is 70 to 80% of the rainfall is concentrated in this 3 to 4 months, and Mumbai happens to be on the windward side of the Western Ghats, which has the potential to receive heavy rainfall. And if you happen to be from the state of Maharashtra, then you could also know that if you compare Pune with Mumbai, which is also closer to Mumbai, but Pune receives less rainfall than Mumbai. It is because Pune happens to be on the leeward side of the Western Ghats. So I hope you could get my point. So this is one geographical factor which makes Mumbai a potential city to receive heavy rainfall. Plus the improper management of city, which we saw in the editorial, causes urban flood. Now the case in Chennai is different. Chennai receives rainfall from northeastern winds, but this Mumbai receives rainfall from southwest winds, that is from southwest monsoon. Fine. I hope you could imagine. So coming to the article. So the article mentions lesson from this Mumbai flood is important, and it could be a lesson for other cities as well to prepare for a future in which scientists think there will be more days of short but intense rain spell. So numerical weather prediction have been improved, and even researchers, for instance from IIT Gandhinagar, have forecasted that millimeter plus rainfall could be seen in the coming days. So this was the prediction which was made. So these accurate models open up possibilities for the authorities to prepare for the worst and even to evacuate the vulnerable sections who live on flood prone zones. Plus it also gives an option for the residents to stock up essential things, and even disaster management authorities could bring in many options to have a less impact of this heavy downpour. So the article mentions Indian cities are poorly planned and managed, plus they are exposed to cyclical weather havoc, that is weather damages. So it is important that the civic bodies produce flood risk map and control growth or development which is hazardous. See, it is clearly known that these monsoon floods are inevitable because the weather condition is that even we saw that Mumbai happens to be on the windward side and it has the potential of heavy downpour. So changing weather patterns is impossible, but we could prepare for the floods. So there is a need for us to have a better city planning. As the article gives in few ideas telling that new construction should be managed or regulated, and the electrical installation should be at a considerable height, plus an introduction of the insurance cover for the household losses and introducing a first response protocol. These are the steps which could be bought in to have a efficient management. Plus the article say we need to reopen the natural drainage over which we have encroached. See, that is the lakes, pond, wetlands, or even a small river stream in a city which has been encroached by the people should be reopened in order to avoid this floods. And the Chennai as well as the Mumbai floods is an example to underscore this. Fine. So that's it with respect to this article. See guys, in UPSC examination, you will not get a direct question saying that why there is a flood in Mumbai, but rather you could get a question with respect to the urban floods or with respect to the urban management in response to the floods. So what you need to do is you have to take the examples of separate cities. For instance, as I told you, Mumbai, Pune and Chennai could be taken as an example, and the lessons which is learned in the following cities could be written down in the point format. Fine, because see, flood happened not because of the single reason. It has various reasons, and one important reason is encroachment as per the article, but other dimensions are also there. For instance, if you take Chennai, in 2015 Chennai flood happened because of improper management of dams. See, Chennai flood happened because the dam was opened, and the dam was opened because there was an encroachment in and around the dams which decreases the water holding capacity of the dam, plus the improper drainage facility. And now when coming to Mumbai, this article mentions it is because of the heavy downpour plus the encroachment over the wetlands, or even the drainage part has been encroached. So there are different potentials for this flood. There are natural as well as man-made reasons. So you have to analyze in that way. Fine. So that's it with respect to this article. We'll move on to the next article. So coming to the next article, Brics of the Wall. So this article mentions at Copenhagen, that is in 2009, Indian Prime Minister plus Chinese leader and even Brazil and South African leaders were negotiating over the failure of this climate change. See guys, here I would like to mention a point. This Copenhagen happens to be a place in Denmark, and it was the meeting of United Nations Framework Framework Conventions on Climate Change. So one could know that these are climate change summits which happen year after year. So in 2009 it happened in Copenhagen, and there was a negotiation which was going on with respect to the climate change, and this basic group formed at that time. That is, the basic group consists of Brazil, South Africa, India, China. Fine. So they were sitting in a separate room and were negotiating over this failure of the climate change. And guys, I would like to mention an important point. See guys, this basic group is just a political agreement and it is not legally binding. Fine. So it was over a same ideologies these group were created. But however, the initial stage of the Brics is the BRIC. That is Brazil, Russia, India, China. Fine. So these are the groups of emerging economies. See guys, I would also again like to make a point. All the 4 nations happens to be a developing nation, and they are also called as newly industrialized nations. That is, they don't have an higher GDP than the developed nations, but at the same time, their growth rate is higher than the developed nations. Fine. I hope you could get it. So this BRIC group was formed in the year 2009, and South Africa joined in 2010, making the BRIC into BRICS. Fine. So the article mentions the objective was to battle the Western hegemony. See guys, the Western nations are considered as the developed nations, and these BRICS nations are developing nations. As I told you before, it is also a newly industrialized nations. So in order to tackle the Western influence or the developed nations, this organization was born. So the article mentions the basic group decided to walk away from the Copenhagen without a deal unless the demands of the emerging countries are met. So this is the origin of the BRICS agreement. Fine. So you just remember in 2009 the BRIC was formed, and in 2010 South Africa joined this BRIC, making it BRICS in 2010. Fine. So the article tries to say this event changed the course of the international negotiation on global warming front. So it was a clear indication of the arrival of the emerging economies as a political force in a united form, with the potential of combined political clout of India and China. So one could sense that India and China is one of the major political power in the present scenario, and both the nations coming up with the same ideologies underlined the importance of the BRICS. So the article mentions, so the BRICS went from an 16-paragraph joint statement at Yekaterinburg to a more substantive paragraph that the 5 countries agreed upon in the Goa Declaration of October 2016. So here the article mentions the first summit of the BRICS happened in this Yekaterinburg in Russia in 2009, and in 2010 South Africa joined the BRICS, and in 2016 this BRIC summit held in Goa. See guys, here I would like to give you a small trick to remember the summits. You know that the first summit held in Russia, and the second summit held in Brazil, and the third summit held in China, while the fourth summit held in India, and the fifth in South Africa. So it is like this. And after the summit of South Africa, it is in the chronological order. That is, the summits used to happen in a chronological order. As one could sense that this year the summit held in India, and the next year the summit is going to held in China, and afterwards the summit will be held in South Africa. Fine. So it is in this manner. So this article mentions it was initiated over the topic of climate change, but later it had common positions on terrorism, energy, as well as world politics. So the dimensions have increased since the origin. So even this BRIC concept was coined by Jim O'Neill, who happens to be a Goldman Sachs chief economist. So who coined this term, saying this BRICS happens to be a bloody ridiculous investment concept. That is BRIC. Fine. So it was his own definition of this BRIC. However, the BRIC has the potential that represents 40% of the world population and the growth of $7 trillion. See guys, this $7 trillion is not important to remember, but I'm just telling as a matter of fact. So one could sense that being an emerging economy, more and more investment are driven into this developing nations, and mainly it is led by India as well as China. So the article mentions this BRIC not only held their positions with respect to the World Bank and IMF quota. See guys, again there is a concept here. You need to know that the voting system in the World Bank and IMF is based on the quota system. That is how much percentage of votes you have in this bank, and it is based upon the investment. Fine. So these 5 nations constitute a significant quota in the World Bank Bank as well as in IMF, both happens to be an institution which is the outcome of Bretton Woods. So it is not only that we have a significant amount of quota in these institutions, but at the same time we have also developed a bank which is called as New Development Bank, which is a major setback for these lending institutions, because even this World Bank is a $100 million bank and is a potential competitor in the world market right now. So the article tries to give in a fact saying that since its initiation in 2015, this bank has lended nearly about $6 billion for at least 23 projects across this 5 countries. So one could see that in spite of having many political differences among the nations, this organization has no mean differences and is running smoothly. Fine. So this was from the first paragraph. And this article also tries to talk about this BRIC in a different dimensions, telling that this BRIC is the most challenging summit now. It is not because of the pressure from outside or not because of the pressure from the developed or the Western countries, but it is because of the growing differences between its members and especially between India and China. And the BRIC summit is going to be held in China now in Xiamen, and it is important to see how this relationship and several other changes in the geopolitics is going to change this BRICS engagement. See guys, one could sense that the Doklam standoff has come to an end, and this Doklam issue had brought many differences between India and China. However, the issue is resolved now. There are few prevailing tensions about the territorial jurisdictions between India and China. So the article mentions this could be reflected in the BRICS, and it is important to watch whether this has any impact over the summit which is going to be held in China. Fine. So the article mentions beyond this Doklam issue, there are also another scenarios which is prevailing between the nations. For instance, nuclear supplies group is an important dimension. See guys, India is pressing hard to become a member of a nuclear supplies group in order to have an easy access of nuclear minerals or uranium in particular. But however, it is because of China's resistance not given a membership in the nuclear supplies group. See, because nuclear supplies group follows a principle of unanimity. That is, all the countries or all the members of the nuclear supplies group should accept a resolution. So even a single nation go against the principle or the agreement, then the resolution could not be passed. So China happens to be a member of this nuclear supplies group, and it is because of this Chinese resistance, India is not given a member in the nuclear supplies group. Fine. So this is one dimension. And the other dimension which the article mentioned is terrorism, Dalai Lama visits to India, and even One Belt One Road initiative of China. See, India does not want to become a part of this One Belt One Road initiative of China. So this happens to be a cause of concern for China and even an irritating factor for the aggressive China. So the article mentions these could be the topics which could be discussed at the BRICS summit, and even China could bring in all this on the table, that is the One Belt One Road initiative of the China on the table, to get the endorsement of the other nations who are not a part of this One Belt One Road initiative. See, because if you consider the BRIC as a whole, then Russia and South Africa are a part of this One Belt One Road initiative. It is only India and Brazil who are not a part of this. But however, one needs to know that there is a huge amount of Chinese investment in Brazil. So there is a 20 billion infrastructure fund which was invested in Brazil by the Chinese. So it is likely that even Brazil could be a part of this. But however, it is India who have to make to ensure that their concerns are met. Fine. So even this article talks about the multiple challenges, and the first challenges is with respect to the BRIC Plus or Friends of BRICS, which is a proposal of China, which includes even countries like Pakistan, Sri Lanka and Mexico, which happens to be a cause of concern for India because it brings in Pakistan on the table. So see, this BRICS Plus is an expanded version of the BRICS, and bringing in Pakistan into BRICS Plus is not something which India wanted, and even India does not want this because it does not want China to even engage more in this South Asian region. So one could also sense that Chinese influence in the South Asian region is growing day by day. As we saw in the earlier articles, even in Sri Lanka, Chinese investments are there with respect to Hambantota port. So even in Nepal, it is because of various factors. Nepal is tilting towards China. So it is because of many reasons. Chinese cooperation in South Asia is increased, and India would not like this. So this BRICS Plus happens to be a cause of concern for India. And the second factor is Russia. See guys, one could know that over a period of years, the ties between China and Russia is enhanced and they are moving closer day by day. See, one needs to know that Russia happens to be a good partner of India, and especially during the 1970s and 1980s, Russia had a very good ties with India. But however, it is in the deteriorating phase. So this could affect this BRICS summit, and especially the issues like Afghanistan, because even Russia wants to have a hold on Afghanistan because it has its own way of dealing with the Taliban in Afghanistan. So these issues are a cause of concern for India. Plus, this article mentions it is the Ukraine crisis which brought these two nations together or closer, and this Ukraine crisis have increased the dependence of Russia on the East and South Asia, and especially in Afghanistan. This is one side. On the other, even India has its own policy with respect to Afghanistan, and even US policy with respect to Afghanistan includes India, where it aims for the economic assistance for Afghanistan. Even we could sense that India has been funding Afghanistan in many ways. For instance, the Herat Dam, the parliament in Afghanistan, or even many road constructions, pipelines are developed in Afghanistan with the aid of India. So this happens to be a difference of opinion between India and Russia, where Russia, China and Pakistan is on the other side with respect to Afghanistan, and India, US is on the other. So this article mentions these factors are the indicator that how important the BRICS summit is, because many dimensions will be and may be discussed upon the sidelines or even may become a main agenda over the BRICS summit. And even both the nations have bought in, that is both India and China have bought in an agreement over the Doklam issue, and the present government is credited for that. So this article mentions the present government should be appreciated because without this outcome, BRICS would have been a different scenario. So even for India, BRICS is important because it has skipped the last two summit. One is SAARC as well as the non-aligned movement. See guys, last year SAARC summit was not attended because of Uri attack and the state-sponsored terrorism activities. So it is because of these reasons the SAARC summit was called off last year. So this BRICS summit is an important one and could not be avoided. So one could analyze the BRICS summits, and it is only after the BRICS summit one could sense the roadmap of this BRICS, because what was the situation in 2009 is not the same now, and after the BRICS summit it may also change. So one should see whether the BRICS summit carries the same potential what it has promised in 2009 at Russia, Ekaterinburg. Fine. So that's it with respect to this article. And friends, from this article you can use the important points, that is the formation of the BRICS as an introduction if at all a question comes on BRICS, and even you could write the potentials of the BRICS which we saw. Plus you can use this BRICS as an example with respect to India-China relationship. See, in spite of having many differences, it is this summit which helps these two nations closer. Fine. So even you could write this as a dimension of India-China relationship, plus the multiple challenges in the BRICS summit, that is we saw the emergence of BRICS plus and Afghanistan policies. So even you could use this according to the demands of the question. So it was an excellent article. It is up to you how you use these points with respect to the answers. Fine. So that's it from this article. We'll move on to the next article now. Powering Aspirational India. So this article first gives about many facts which is not important for us. As the article mentions, a data was published by International Energy Agency in 2014 where it is 805 units for the nations like India. That is, we require 805 units of electricity per individual, while it is 8,028 for the developed nations. So this sort of information is not important for us. So from this article, what is important is we have to focus on alternative sources. So this article fixes 5,000 unit as a per capita consumption of an individual. Fine, that is per annum. And for this, we have to opt for alternative sources such as renewable energy, hydroelectric potentials and nuclear powers. So we have to maximize other dimensions of electricity production with low carbon energy resources. But the article mentions even though the renewable energy has a very good potential in the future, but it will take many years to reach the ultimate potential of this electricity production because it is at the initial stage. So until then, India needs to focus on nuclear energy generation, and larger investment should be done in nuclear energy research and development. So it says until installed capacity based on low carbon sources picks up, fossil fuels have to continue their role, and the government bringing in nuclear power projects such as Kudamkulam, and even setting up of pressurized heavy water reactors with cooperation of Japan is the right step which is taken in the right direction. Fine. So that's it with respect to this article. And the next article is managing embankments. See guys, you need to know what is the meaning of an embankment. It is a wall. Fine. It is an uplifted structure which is constructed along the river channel. So it is some sort of barrier that is used to hold the water. So even I have given you an image here. This is how an embankment looks like. Fine. So see, it is the encroachment over this embankment causes flood, and especially in the northeastern states like Assam. I have also taken a separate video with respect to the floods in Assam. So I have given you a link in the description box where you can have a go through. So this article mentions we should involve communities for the better management of this embankment, and the encroachment should be regulated, and there is a need for state to create an institutional environment, that is an committee based organizations, and they should be allowed to earn revenue. Like from these embankment, they could collect fees like toll fee, or even they can undertake plantation activities along this embankment. See, even this embankment are used as roads in certain areas. Fine. So one could collect toll over this embankment, which is an idea from this article. And even the government can issue tenders for the periodic management of this embankment to a community based organizations, or even a community can act as a partner to implement the same. So one needs to have a decentralized management, because it is not that you just construct an embankment around the road and you do not maintain. So build and forget cannot be an option for embankment. It needs to be regulated, it needs to be maintained, and for this community involvement is a better option. Fine. So participatory embankment is the way forward according to this article. Fine. So this is the crux of the article, guys, and what you need to know with respect to this article is embankment is also an potential factor for creating flood. And if you need to know the other factors for floods in northeastern region, then I have taken a separate video. You can just have a go through. I have given you a link in the description box. Fine. So that's it for today, guys. Thank you for watching.